All right, let's get rolling. Today, we're diving into a world that, honestly, I find super fascinating: adventure motorcycles.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. Specifically, we're taking a close look at the BMW R1300 GSA. There was an article I saw recently, and it just got me thinking about, the whole appeal of these bikes.
Yeah, the freedom, the exploration.
Exactly. Who wouldn't want to just, hit the open road and go wherever? But then you start digging into the specs, and it can be a little overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
All that technical stuff.
Yeah, I get that. It can definitely seem like a lot.
Which is why, thankfully,
Yeah.
we've got you here. You can help us unpack not just the what of the R1300 GSA, but the WHY. Why does this bike matter in the world of adventure motorcycles?
Well, I think what's really interesting is how these bikes tap into a very specific desire. It's like picture yourself, open road, stretching out in front of you, no deadlines, just the horizon and that rumble of the engine.
Okay, yeah, that's the dream right there.
Right, and that's the kind of freedom the R1300 GSA is built to deliver.
So it's more than just a bike, it's a whole experience.
Absolutely.
I'm already sold on the concept. But, I was reading this article, and it dives into some pretty serious specs. 1300cc engine, 145 horsepower, telever suspension. It's like a Swiss Army knife of motorcycle tech.
It's true, there's a lot packed into this bike.
So help me out here. Why are those numbers so important? What makes them stand out, especially for adventure riding?
Well, each feature is designed to enhance that sense of freedom we were just talking about. Take the 30-liter fuel tank, for example.
Oh yeah, that's a big one, literally.
It's huge, but it's not just about the number, it's about what it allows you to do. Imagine riding through, say, Patagonia, no gas stations for miles, but you're not even worried.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's the confidence the R1300 GSA gives you. You're not limited by range anxiety, you can just focus on the journey.
That's huge. I mean, range anxiety can really kill the joy of exploration, can it?
Oh, for sure. And with the R1300 GSA, you can just keep going, exploring without that constant worry in the back of your mind.
Okay, I'm starting to get why they call it an adventure bike. But one thing I'm curious about, what's the deal with the boxer engine design?
Ah, the Boxer engine. Classic BMW, right?
It seems like a BMW thing, yeah. But why is that design particularly good for off-roading?
Right, so it's more than just a unique look. The way those cylinders stick out to the sides, it actually lowers the bike's center of gravity,
Oh, I see.
makes it super stable on rough terrain. Think of it like a mountain goat, sure-footed even when things get rocky.
Makes sense. So it's not just about raw power, it's about control and stability too.
Exactly. It's about being able to handle whatever the terrain throws at you, whether it's a twisty mountain road or a rugged off-road trail.
And I bet that massive fuel tank plays into that too. No more constantly calculating how far you can go before needing to refuel.
Exactly. With the R1300 GSA, you can focus on the experience, on the adventure itself, rather than worrying about logistics. It's about extending your reach and embracing the unknown.
Okay, I have to admit, I'm getting a little intimidated by all this talk of tech. The article mentioned a TFT display, riding modes, smartphone connectivity. It's like a rolling computer.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, but it's all about enhancing the riding experience.
I'm all for gadgets, don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
But do they actually make a difference when you're out there on the road?
They absolutely do. For instance, take the riding modes.
What are those all about?
So, riding modes let you basically tailor the bike's performance to the conditions and, to how you want to ride, feeling cautious on a wet road.
I'd be pretty cautious on a wet road, yeah.
Right. So you switch to rain mode and it'll smooth out the throttle response, increase traction control, all that, tackling some dirt trails. Enduro mode is your friend. It's like having the right tool for every situation, enhancing both safety and enjoyment.
So it's about having options. You're not stuck with just one way the bike performs.
Exactly. And that makes it more accessible to a wider range of riders.
I can already imagine how much peace of mind those safety features would give, especially on a challenging ride. The article specifically mentioned ABS Pro and traction control. What makes them so important for adventure riding?
Oh, they're crucial. Think of them as your invisible safety net. ABS Pro prevents your wheels from locking up during hard braking, especially on loose surfaces.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right. And then traction control, that keeps you from losing grip when you're accelerating, especially on slippery surfaces. It's all about adding layers of confidence, allowing you to push your limits safely.
So it's not just about having the power to go anywhere. It's about having the control to do it safely.
Exactly. And that control translates into confidence, which translates into a more enjoyable riding experience.
This is starting to sound less like a motorcycle and more like a philosophy philosophy of riding. It's like a whole approach to adventure.
And that philosophy definitely includes comfort. The R1300 GSA really excels in this area. They've got adjustable seats, wind deflectors, even heated grips.
Heated grips, wow. That's pretty fancy.
It is. But remember, adventure riding is about covering serious distances, not just speed. It's about enjoying the journey, not just the destination. So comfort plays a huge role in that.
Yeah, you can't really enjoy the scenery if you're freezing and your back is killing you.
Exactly.
Now, I know no deep dives would be complete without talking about the competition. The article mentioned the KTM 1290 Super Adventure as a key rival to the R1300 GSA.
Yeah. It's a classic battle.
So I'm curious, how do these two titans of the adventure world stack up against each other? What are the key differences?
Well, it's an interesting comparison. The KTM is known for being a bit lighter, with a focus on raw power and off-road performance.
Okay, so it's more of a hardcore off-road machine.
Yeah, you could say that. It appeals to riders who really want to push the limits, who crave that adrenaline rush. The BMW, on the other hand, it's like a sophisticated traveler.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right. It prioritizes comfort, technology, and that reassuring sense of control we were talking about earlier.
So it's a question of priorities, really. Do you want raw thrills or refined capability?
Exactly. And that brings us to a point that we can't ignore the price.
Yeah, the price tag on the R1300 GSA is definitely something to consider.
It sits at the higher end of the spectrum, no doubt. So the question is all that tech and refinement worth the cost?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Is it purely about luxury, or is there more to it?
Well, think of it this way. The R1300 GSA is an investment.
Investment, okay.
It's built to last. You're not just buying a bike for a couple of years. You're buying into a riding experience that's designed to go the distance, both literally and figuratively.
I see. So it's not just about the initial cost. It's about the value you get over time.
Precisely. And when you consider the features, the build quality, the reliability, and yes, even the resale value, the R1300 GSA starts to look like a pretty compelling package.
You know, all this talk about reliability and long-term ownership, it makes me wonder about maintenance. Is this a high-maintenance machine?
That's a great question, and luckily the article touched on that as well. BMW has a reputation for building bikes that can take a beating.
That's good to know.
But even the toughest machines need some TLC.
Right? So what are we talking about here? Regular oil changes, adjustments. What's the upkeep like?
Well, the article mentioned regular servicing intervals, which is pretty standard for any motorcycle. But it also highlighted something that's really important for adventure riders: the extensive global network of BMW service centers.
Oh, that's huge.
It is. It means that no matter where your adventures take you, you're likely to find support if you need it.
That's reassuring, especially if you're venturing far from home. So it's not a set it and forget it type of bike, but it's not going to require constant pampering either.
Exactly. Think of it more like a partnership. You take care of the bike with regular maintenance, and it'll take care of you with years of reliable performance and adventure.
I like that in partnership. It really seems like that idea runs deep with the R1300 GSA. It's not just a machine, it's a companion for exploration.
I think that's a great way to put it. And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. We're not just analyzing specs and features, we're exploring a way of life, a philosophy of adventure that resonates with a certain type of rider.
You know, I'm starting to think that type of rider might just be me. I have to admit, I'm pretty blown away by everything we've covered about the R1300 GSA so far.
It is an impressive machine, no doubt.
It really seems like it's more than just a motorcycle. It's a whole philosophy of adventure. It's about freedom, exploration, and pushing your boundaries, but doing it with confidence and control.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it so appealing to so many riders. It's not just about the destination, it's about the entire journey.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. We've explored the R1300 GSA's core features, how it compares to its rivals, and even touched on the practicalities of ownership.
We've laid a good foundation. And in the next part, we're going to delve even deeper, exploring the technology that really sets this bike apart and what it's actually like to ride.
I'm already looking forward to it. Welcome back. I'm still kind of reeling from all that we covered in the first part, you know.
Yeah, the R1300 GSA packs a lot in.
It really does. But one thing that keeps coming back to me is how integrated the technology is. It's not just an afterthought. It's like built into the whole experience.
Oh, absolutely. Technology is not just a gimmick here. It's core to how the bike functions and how it enhances the whole adventure riding experience.
The article made a big deal about that 6.5-inch TFT display.
Yeah, it's more than just a screen.
Right, it's like the bike's brain, or at least how it communicates with you.
Think of it as your co-pilot. It gives you all the essential info, your speed, fuel range, even tire pressure at a glance.
So you're not fumbling with gauges or anything?
Nope, it's all right there, clear and easy to read. But what's really cool is how it goes beyond that. Imagine you're navigating some winding mountain roads.
Oh yeah, picture that.
You've got the GPS seamlessly guiding you, maybe even suggesting scenic detours.
Yeah.
Or you can check the weather forecast on the fly, right there on the display.
Wow, okay, so it's connected too. That's pretty slick.
It's all about keeping you informed and connected, but without distracting you from the most important thing, the ride itself.
You know, I'm starting to rethink my whole GPS setup after hearing this. But speaking of connectivity, the article mentioned BMW Connected Ride.
Oh yeah, connected ride is where things get really interesting.
Fill me in. What's that all about?
Okay, imagine this. You're cruising through a national park.
All right, I'm with you.
Sun shining, you've got your favorite music streaming through your helmet speakers.
Hold on, helmet speakers.
Yeah, and then the system says, hey, there's a scenic detour coming up. Want to take it?
That's pretty cool. So it's not just about navigation, it's about like curating the whole experience.
Exactly. It integrates your phone, your music, navigation, even emergency features. It's all about enhancing that sense of freedom and making the journey even more enjoyable.
Okay, I'm sold on the music part for sure. But safety's got to be a top priority too. The article talked about multiple riding modes on the R1300 GSA.
Do those really make a difference? I mean, it seems kind of like a video game feature, you know?
Not at all. Think of it this way. You wouldn't wear hiking boots to a fancy dinner, would you?
Uh-huh. Probably not.
Right. Riding modes are about choosing the right setup for your bike based on the conditions and how you want to ride.
Okay, so different modes for different situations.
Exactly. Say it's a rainy day, the roads are slick, you switch to rain mode,
Okay, makes sense.
the throttle response gets smoother, traction control kicks in more, or maybe you're hitting some dirt trails. Enduro mode is your best bet there. It adapts the bike's performance to the terrain.
So it's not just for expert riders who want to tweak every little thing.
Not at all. It's about making the bike more accessible and enjoyable for everyone. A new rider can feel more confident knowing the bike's got their back, and experienced riders can really push the limits knowing they have the right tools. I like that. It's about options, it's about safety, and it's about making sure everyone can have fun.
Exactly. It's about tailoring the experience to the rider and the situation.
Okay, so we've talked about all this tech, but what's it actually like to ride this thing? The article was full of praise for the R1300 GSA's handling and performance. What stood out to you?
What really comes through in the reviews is that feeling of balance and agility. You wouldn't expect a bike this size to be nimble,
Yeah, it's a pretty big machine.
but riders consistently say it handles like a much lighter bike, both on and off-road, and that boxer engine. It delivers power smoothly and effortlessly, whether you're climbing hills or overtaking on the highway.
So it's not just about brute force, it's about that smooth, refined power delivery we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's about being in control, feeling connected to the bike and the road.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of what the R1300 GSA does well.
But are there any areas where it falls short? You know, any compromises riders should be aware of? Well, every bike has its trade-offs. I mean, we've already talked about the price, right? That's definitely a factor to consider.
Yeah, it's a significant investment.
And while it's incredibly capable off-road, it's not a hardcore dirt bike. If your sole focus is conquering the most extreme terrain, there might be more specialized options out there.
Right, so it's about choosing the right tool for the job. Which brings me back to that KTM 1290 Super Adventure. Could you maybe break down what makes each bike unique and who they might appeal to?
It's an interesting contrast for sure. The KTM, it's raw energy, like a wild stallion ready to run.
Okay, I can see that.
It's lighter, more aggressive, really excels in those demanding off-road situations. It's the bike for riders who prioritize adrenaline and pushing the limits. The R1300 GSA, it's more like a seasoned explorer.
Yeah, you said that before, and I really like that analogy.
Composed, capable, comfortable in any situation. It appeals to riders who value versatility, long-distance comfort, and that unshakable sense of control.
So it's like choosing between a sports car and a luxury SUV.
Exactly. Both incredible in their own right, but designed for different experiences.
And at the end of the day, it comes down to personal preference. What are you looking for in a riding experience?
Exactly. Are you seeking thrills or seamless exploration? Do you crave raw power or sophisticated technology? These are the questions to ask yourself.
Okay, now I'm daydreaming about cruising down a scenic highway on the R1300 GSA, wind in my hair, music playing.
But realistically, I'd also be thinking about things like, reliability and maintenance. Is this a bike that needs constant pampering?
Well, that's where BMW's reputation comes in. They're known for building bikes that are built to last, to withstand years of use.
That's good to hear.
But of course, even the most durable machine needs some care. Regular servicing is essential. The article emphasized that, and thankfully, BMW has that global network of service centers to back it up.
So it's not set it and forget it, but it's not demanding constant attention either.
Right. It's more about, as we said before, a partnership. You take care of the bike, and it'll take care of you. It seems like that idea of partnership really is at the heart of the R1300 GSA experience.
Yeah.
It's not just a machine, it's a companion for all your adventures.
That's a great way to put it. And I think that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. We're not just analyzing specs, we're exploring a way of life, a philosophy of adventure.
And honestly, I'm finding myself more and more drawn to that philosophy. I have to say, I'm really impressed with everything we've uncovered about the R1300 GSA so far. It's clearly a bike that's designed with a deep understanding of what adventure riding is all about.
It is. It blends cutting-edge technology with that core focus on exploration and freedom. It's really a unique machine.
Well, I think we've done a great job of breaking down the R1300 GSA, from its impressive capabilities to the nuanced riding experience it offers. But like with all our deep dives, I like to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Always a good idea. So let's put it out there. If you had the keys to a BMW R1300 GSA, where would your adventure begin? What uncharted territories would you explore? What stories would you write on the open road?
All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive. It's kind of crazy to think we're already here, you know?
Time flies when you're having fun, right? Especially when you're talking about adventure motorcycles.
Seriously. And after everything we've covered about the R1300 GSA, that idea of adventure keeps coming back to me.
Oh, for sure. It's more than just a bike. It's a whole philosophy. That spirit of exploration, that desire to push boundaries, that's what really sets it apart.
And you know, something else that the article touched on that really resonated with me is that idea of longevity. The fact that this bike is built to last.
Yeah.
That has to be part of the appeal, right? Knowing it's not just a disposable machine.
It absolutely is. The R1300 GSA is designed to be a long-term companion, to handle years of adventures, to become a part of your story.
But being realistic, long-term ownership also means thinking about things like maintenance, reliability. Does the R1300 GSA actually live up to that promise of durability?
Well, BMW has a long-standing reputation for building incredibly robust motorcycles, and the R1300 GSA is no exception. The article highlighted its track record for reliability and the fact that it's built to handle tough conditions. We're talking rough roads, extreme weather, you name it.
Okay, that's reassuring,
Yeah.
especially if you're planning those long-haul trips where you might be far from, well, civilization. But even the toughest machines need some TLC, right? What's the maintenance side of things like with the R1300 GSA?
Regular servicing is definitely key, just like with any vehicle. The article mentioned recommended service intervals, the usual stuff. But what I found really impressive was the emphasis on BMW's global service network. Basically, no matter where you are in the world, chances are you'll be able to find support if you need it.
Wow, that's a huge peace of mind, especially if you're venturing off the beaten path. It's like having a safety net, knowing you're not totally on your own out there.
Exactly. It's all about that support and that confidence that you can keep going no matter what.
Okay, I can't avoid it any longer. Right. I have to bring up the elephant in the room again, the price. I mean, we've talked about the R1300 GSA being an investment, but does the long-term value really justify that initial cost?
It's a fair question, and honestly, it's a personal decision for each rider. But when you factor in everything we've discussed, the reliability, the build quality, and yes, even the strong resale value, it starts to look less like an expense and more like an investment in a passion, something you'll enjoy for years to come.
It's like you said earlier, it's a partnership. You're committing to this machine, and it's committing to you, delivering years of adventure and reliable performance.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And I think that brings us right back to what we've been exploring this whole time. The R1300 GSA isn't just about specs and features. It's about a philosophy of riding. It's about embracing exploration, pushing your boundaries, but doing it with confidence and a sense of control.
It's about knowing you've got a reliable companion by your side, ready for anything the road throws at you.
Exactly. And that's what makes this bike so much more than just a machine. It's about the experience, the journey, the stories you create along the way.
I think we've done a pretty awesome job unpacking the R1300 GSA.
Yeah.
We've covered everything from its capabilities and technology to the unique riding experience it offers. But as always, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
All right, let's hear it. What's the final thought?
So imagine for a moment that you had the keys to a BMW R1300 GSA. Where would your adventure begin? What uncharted territories would you explore? What stories would you write on the open road?
It's amazing, isn't it? That sense of possibility, that freedom to choose your own path.
That's the magic of adventure motorcycles. They represent limitless potential, the chance to discover what lies beyond the horizon.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive. But as you go about your day, I encourage you to hold on to that sense of wonder. Whether or not you ever actually ride an R1300 GSA, let its spirit inspire you. To seek out adventure, to embrace the unknown, and to never stop exploring.
Well said. And until next time, may your journeys be filled with excitement, discovery, and that undeniable spirit of the open road.